trying to scare me. I'm not going to sit on the sidelines. I'm putting together this new team to get justice. This is our destiny.
All right. Let's get going. Finally, we're getting some action. Aloha. Welcome to Cyntillating Reviews, and today we will be reviewing a DC original, Episode 8 of Stargirl. This episode did start off in a very slow pace, but once we kind of got into the last 10 minutes of it, then you're hyped up. Then you can't wait for what else is going to come next week. I can't wait to see what's coming next week. I'm looking forward to this. I'm so excited. This video will be in a style of a podcast, so if you want to minimize my videos while doing something else while listening to me, I won't be offended. Spoiler alert is now in effect. This episode is part 2 from last week's episode. Last week we saw Stargirl fight off with Cindy, who is actually a villain known as Shiv. Sorry if I said that name wrong. And where we find out how everybody is connected with everyone. The episode starts where we first see Pat, who is having a little too much fun driving around with his Buick vehicle as he is going about 80 miles per hour, when all of a sudden he just wipes out and he crashes into a light pole. Cue opening credits. Yeah, that's exactly how we're going to start this episode. I don't get it either. More than likely, Pat is a man who does things with reason, and we'll find out this reason later. We move on now where we see Barbara and Gordon having a little fancy celebration dinner where, on the business side, nutshell, they were able to buy the old sewing machine factory, which is now starting to click in my mind that there is something more than just a normal sales pitch for Blue Valley. Jordan excuses himself where he, quote, promises to go pay a visit to a friend, end quote. As soon as Jordan leaves, Barbara gets a phone call from Pat where he says to her that everyone is fine, but there was an accident. Courtney wakes up and she realizes that she is in a hospital room. The first person that she sees is Pat, and how he told Barbara that both him and Courtney were in a car accident. The way that Pat explains to Courtney is that there's going to be police reports, and they had to make physical proof of the accident so there wouldn't be raised suspicions as to what happened to Courtney and her fight with Cindy. That physical proof is that he crashed his own Buick in the light post. Pat told Courtney that she has to get some rest and that the next day he's going to find out more information about Cindy because it raises the question as to why Cindy only attacked Courtney. He believes that she is the daughter of someone from the IJA. Pat decides that he has to tell Barbara exactly what's going on. Courtney pleads with Pat that they can tell her right after the IJA has been handled, which in a way makes sense because you don't want to tell her what's going on and then all of a sudden she's going to get kidnapped or something severely happens to her. Once you take out the IJA, then there's no physical threat to worry about. We meet Cindy now, who is talking to her father, Dr. Ito, or from what an outside source has told me, the Dragon King. Dr. Ito isn't pleased with Cindy's work as when he sent the drones out to get Stargirl, she was already gone from the scene of the crime. Cindy tells her father that there was another person that interfered with the fight, and that person that interfered with Cindy and Courtney's fight was the janitor, Justin. Now, again, from my outside resources, he's known as Mr. Shiny. And that is literally his name, Mr. Shiny. Now, unfortunately, this was the last time that we talked about the janitor, Justin, for this episode. I don't know why he had such a short appearance, but last week we already know that he has some form of connection with the Justice Society of America. He already has connections with Pat because the very last line from last week's episode, the janitor Justin said, "Stripesy." So I kind of would like to know a little bit more about Mr. Shiny. I would like to know a little bit more about Mr. Shiny and exactly who he is and just all that stuff from the Stargirl universe. Anywho, moving back to this episode, Dr. Ito tells Cindy to return home and do nothing until he calls her. And there's something underneath that hood that Cindy is afraid of as he says in such a spine-chilling tone, quote, "Don't make me remove my hood," end quote. Honestly, I want to see that. I want to see what's underneath Dr. Ito's hood. Back at the pit stop, Rick, Yolanda, and Beth are talking about Cindy's attempt to kill Courtney, and Rick, frustrated with what was going on, He wanted to go out and take Cindy out, but Beth stands up to him, telling Rick that they just need to make a plan and figure out what the next step is before they can move forward with the beating. Rick calms down and gives Beth a chance to shine with her strategy as she holds up Dr. Midnight's goggles. Pat wheeling out Courtney both notice Henry Jr. sitting right next to his father, Henry King, who is still in the coma. Courtney is the first to say hi in a kind and peaceful manner. Honestly, I was hoping that Henry Jr. would say something back, but with proof of last week's episode, I totally forgot he can read people's thoughts. So I thought, without us, the viewers, knowing, was able to read Courtney's mind. But proof of me being wrong was when he gets up from the chair and he shuts the door lightly. He didn't act out and lash out so aggressively at Courtney and Pat, so that's where he didn't pick up Courtney's and Pat's thoughts yet. At home, Mike and Courtney have a little heart-to-heart as Mike apologizes to her as he admitted to her that he's a little jealous that Courtney and Pat are spending so much time together, but he likes that his dad is Courtney's father now, and Mike really likes how he can see Courtney as a sister. I really like this sweet little scene. It's not long, it's about maybe 2 minutes or so, but it's just that scene where you say, there you go, Mike, there you go. Pat heads in the basement as he opens the box where the cosmic staff lays as Pat speaks, and in a weird way, Pat is talking how him and the cosmic staff have their own differences in past issues. He sums it up that Courtney has so much that she needs to learn, and Pat asks the staff to lead Courtney away from danger instead of leading towards it. The staff doesn't respond at all to Pat as he hears Barbara coming home as he heads back upstairs to greet her. Jordan is waiting for Mr. Riley as he explains a little bit about Mr. Riley's history, as he's Vice President of Acquisitions and he was promoted 4 times in the past 7 years. He tells Riley his needs for eliminating toxins and polluting the land and to help those who got really sick, just like his wife did, who we saw in the previous episodes that she passed away due to these exact toxins and pollutions. Mr. Riley pleads him that he had nothing to do with it, but Jordan says different as he uses his ice powers to freeze Mr. Riley to death. Back at the King residence, we see Henry feverishly looking for some painkillers to get rid of the high, frequent ringing noise from his head. But this is when we see him discover 2 things. One, we see him first discover a small key that was sitting in his father's drawer. And the second thing is that he can make the pain tablets levitate with his mind because of his telekinesis powers. Yolanda and Rick were ready to execute the plan of going inside Cindy's home to see what they can discover until Pat comes in and he sees Beth ready to start the plan. He tries to pull her away, but Cindy's stepmother opens the door and invites the two to come in such a friendly gesture. Courtney gets a visitor at home. It's Cindy! Courtney's on guard as Cindy apologizes to her as the two hang out. Yeah, what exactly is going on there, Cindy? With the assistance of the goggles, Beth is getting the information from Chuck how there is no identity of Cindy's stepmother. Attracting Beth's attention is the number pad that leads downstairs to the secret hideout. In order, thanks to Chuck, she presses the keypad and opens the door. Once downstairs, Beth loses total communication to both Yolanda and Rick. Cindy and Courtney still hang out for a little bit, but Cindy gets up and is ready to take her leave until she says, "I like your staff, Stargirl." She promises her that she won't tell her father. She makes it a promise to her, though, that they will meet again after she kills Courtney's friends. She bids her farewell as Courtney texts Yolanda telling her that Cindy knows who she is, as Yolanda tells her that they are at Cindy's and Pat is with them. Beth continues walking down the tunnel until she hears who sounds to be Solomon Grundy that is currently locked up. Beth retreats back to the stairs and she steps inside Cindy's bedroom. She notices a picture on Cindy's vanity mirror as Chuck explains that the man in the photo is Dr. Shiro Ito, a controversial scientist. If you look closely at the short information that shows up in Beth's visions in the goggles, it shows that his birth year is 1901. Someone like him should have already passed on by now. He was also part of the Japanese military throughout the 30s and 40s, so we're looking around World War time. He's very infamous for something that he created called the Bacilli bombs, which spread plagues throughout China within the the 1 year of 1932 and 1933. Tried for his convictions, he was sentenced to death in 1947. Before Beth can get the answer on what Cindy's connection is to Dr. Ito, who we know as the viewer, and for those that dig a little deeper into the DC universe, is Cindy's father. Cindy returns home, and Beth was able to escape through the window thanks to Yolanda and Rick. Pat returns to the group with Yolanda stating that Cindy knows who Stargirl is, and Beth hands him a photo of the war criminal, confirming Pat's theory on who Cindy's father is. Courtney heads downstairs to bring out the staff. She says that they have to help the others, but the cosmic staff is not budging. It's not moving. She states that the others are in trouble and they need to move, which results the cosmic staff to leave in Courtney's hands. Having control of his new powers, Henry uses this to levitate a key that opens a locked compartment that is disguised as Henry's books. This is where he discovers the suit that belonged to his father. He also notices a picture of Cindy and a letter that went along with it, as it reads, quote, "Dear Dr. King, I appreciate you agreeing to my proposal. My daughter Cindy will watch your son well. Cindy's very good at watching things. I'll alert you to any changes, and again, thank you for the opportunity. With respect, Dr. Shiro Ito." End quote. Henry Jr. leaves the area as we return back to Cindy as she realized that someone was in her room. Before Cindy could do her own investigation, full-suited Stargirl enters Cindy's room as the two fight. Henry appears and tries to pull Cindy away as Cindy refuses to leave. He can read both Cindy and Courtney's thoughts at the exact same time. The thought reading was just way too much for Henry Jr. as he used his powers to push both of the girls away. Before Cindy can attack, Dr. Ito's drones appear, taking Cindy underground. Henry now discovers who Stargirl is, as the two communicate telepathically. He runs out of sight as Dr. Ito watches Henry Jr. as he says Henry does have brainwaves powers. This concludes episode 8 of Stargirl. I'll be honest, if you want me to be honest, this episode, the first half of it, did kind of start at a slow pace. It started getting more interesting when we first entered Cindy's home, and this is where we kind of see that the stepmother has no identification, no nothing. There was nothing to fully explain to Beth who she really is. So this kind of gets me thinking that maybe it was another drone that Dr. Ito created, or just something along the lines there. If I have to rank this episode between 0 star to 5 star, this episode really wasn't my favorite, but it did pick up to where it needed to pick up, a mutual of 3 out of 5 stars. At the very end of this episode, I just go with the idea of, I'm so excited, now we're finally getting to the punchline. I know I said that last episode, but now we really are getting into the full punchline, and I hope there's a big fight sequence coming in, but who am I to think about that? The idea that we discussed Janitor Justin once in this episode really didn't appeal to me. I was not okay with that. I wanted to see a little bit more of Mr. Shiny or Janitor Justin, and which now it looks like it's confirming our theories that Janitor Justin is not Dr. Fate as who we believe he is, because of his golden sword and like the picture of the horse that was sitting in the janitor closet, but now rather so Mr. Shiny. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more of Mr. Shiny, hopefully within the season finale. One thing I received too, also, just in case if you guys wanted to know before I end this episode, while there is a green light for season 2 of Stargirl, it will not be aired on DC Universe. Instead, it will be fully aired on CW. And I know that's going to make scheduling just a little bit complicated. And if you want to read the article on that, just click that link in the description box below. But right now, let's just focus on season 1, and let's just focus on how our teen JSA and what we could predict in the next season. So thank you guys so much for stopping in and listening to my review of Stargirl episode 8. If you are interested in more Stargirl content, click on that bell to be notified for personal videos, or if you're interested in all my content, click all notifications and you'll get notifications for all of my uploads. Click subscribe to help me grow Cyntillating reviews. click that like button. If you want to put in your thoughts of what's going to happen next week, type in on that comments below. I want to read your thoughts, guys. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week for the new episode of Stargirl. Thanks for watching Let's Review with Cyntillating Reviews. If you want to read the full article of the review, click on the link down below. And we also have a Facebook, Twitter, and follow me on Instagram at CE Mattison. Our simplest prevention is our biggest protection. Take care of yourselves and others as you practice social distancing, washing hands, and staying at home. Let's get better by starting to make our world better to reduce the spread of COVID-19. See you later on another day.